Okay.
What's up, everyone? Episode 2 of the Creative Attribute Podcast. I'm here with a close partner, recent partner. I've been following her for a few months now. It's been a pleasure. Her name is Cawsey. All her links and socials will be down below. Thank you so much for coming on the second episode of this podcast. I recorded episode 1 a few hours ago. I think that went well, so I hope this goes well as well. I hope this goes good as well. We'll start off with something pretty simple. I've literally been searching through like the interwebs, the deep webs, going through like a ton of different content creators, ton of different cosplayers, ton of different artists, and I compiled like a list of top cosplays that I liked, top content that I liked from like YouTube and Twitter and everything like that. You're one of the people that I came across a few months ago because I was looking through like different cosplayers to understand like the space, because like I've been an anime nerd for so many years, been a manga nerd for about a year now, and I didn't realize that cosplay was such a huge phenomenon as well. So when I got into the space on like Instagram and Facebook and stuff, I saw your account on the list of, I think it was Canadian cosplayer hashtag or whatever. Saw yours and a couple others, and yours standing out because it wasn't just like the typical anime waifu. You also did like superheroes, I guess, from like DC and Marvel. So it was a different cast of characters that you would cosplay. What made you choose certain costumes, or what type of genres do you like doing the most, I should say?
Well, first, thank you for having me. Also, thank you for enjoying my stuff. That's really, I'm here to enjoy myself, and hopefully other people like my content. I can't speak. I need more coffee. So what I pick, I honestly just like cosplaying characters that I enjoy and that I can relate to. Like, I've tried the whole cosplay the popular people, try to get, my page noticed for doing the popular thing, but I don't enjoy myself when I do that, and I just want to do content that I like. And I really think that people can tell when you're really into a character, especially when you're at conventions, because you're gonna have people, asking questions or relate to it. And if you can't relate to the character, it kind of ruins it for yourself and for the fans. So, all the cosplays that I have up there are characters that I can definitely relate to.
How long have you been cosplaying for?
I'm coming up on 4 years. I think I did try a little bit when I was in high school, but I really got into it after I graduated university.
4 years. Do you create all of your costumes, or do you purchase a lot of them online? Because I know some people like to hand make it because they have more like creative control. What do you do?
Yeah, so
for yours?
mine's a complete mix. I can't sew for the life of me. So I'll either do commissions for people where I'll make their props and they'll sew something for me, or I'll have costumes made for me, but then I'll enhance them myself and I'll make all the props. So it's a huge mix. I do have one costume. I had a really good friend buy it for me because he knew I really wanted to do this version of Sailor Mars, and he knew I was really low on funds and I was having a really crappy year. So he just got it for me, which is super awesome.
I think that's. I think that one's one of the best ones that you wore. I'm not gonna lie.
I love it. Yeah.
That one in the Vegeta. I think it's Vegeta. That one in the Vegeta costume. I think it's Vegeta.
Vegeta's. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
The armor one?
Yeah, the armor one. That one's sick. You bought that one, or did you? How did
that one?
Yeah.
This one's honestly my favorite story for cosplay. So I really love Vegeta. I really relate to him.
But his hairline.
The hairline.
Wow.
Always coming in second place. Always kind of being put up as like I should be the best, but really I'm losing to this loser. And that was just me growing up. Like, my parents always kind of put me up on this pedestal, and I would never really achieve what they wanted me to achieve, which was frustrating. I think that's why I really relate to Vegeta. But that armor, that chest piece that I have on there was the first ever thing I ever made for myself. My friend Alana Waffles, she taught me how to make it, and I've been using the same body form, but I've just been adding it. So the thigh pieces and the shoulder pieces have all been added onto. I've added ties to the side so it fits me better. It's flexible. It's super comfy to wear, and I just get the best reactions wearing it too.
Yeah, you could tell that a lot of effort was put into it because it's not like it doesn't look like it's made in like some dodgy warehouse in
Yeah.
third world countries. It looks like very legit. So I was like, that one, the Sailor Mars one, and I'm forgetting the other one. I don't. Uh, the Venom one, the Venom one.
Oh yeah,
Amazing.
Guanum, yeah.
Or Gwenum, sorry. Amazing, like top tier prospects. Um, I suck at sewing. I've tried. I will like back in the day. My mom was like, she had the sewing machine back when we used to live in like some shady apartment in Toronto. She used to sew a lot, and she wanted to get me into sewing because it's good to. Because at the time, like we didn't know how far technology like everything would go with regards to like manufacturing and stuff like that. So she thought it would be good. She thought it was a good skill for me to have to like sew my own clothing just in case. And we weren't the richest at all as well, so it was like you're not gonna get all the designer clothing, so you might as well learn how to like fix the ones that you have, the clothing that you do have, and perhaps make your own. But I was trash. Like that shit, I was just like, nah, I'm good. I'm good. I'm just gonna watch anime.
I did the same thing. Like my parents were so gung ho and trying to make me a girly girl, and I was such a tomboy growing up. Like all I wanted to do was play sports. I had short hair. I hate wearing dresses. Like I didn't care what I looked like. And my mom had me in Sparks and Girl Guides, and like we had sewing and all that. And I was just like, this is dumb. I want to play sports. I full on regret it now because I really wish I learned how to sew. And you know, once I get some more spare time, I really do want to take sewing lessons because I really want to learn to like fully make my own pieces. Like I've sewn a little bit from people showing me how to do it, but I want the satisfaction of being able to make a clothing cosplay that I did
have like
myself.
Full creative control to do it all yourself and be like, holy shit! Like it's this leads to a good question because when you're cosplaying, I don't do it, but I follow a few other cosplayers that do it, and I always have the question of like, is it better to just purchase a cosplay because it might be faster to get it done that way, or like is the process easier to just purchase one, or is it easier or better to have the creative control of like making one from scratch? So I know you do a mixture of both. Maybe in the future, when you learn how to sew, you might find it easier to just continue doing a mixture of like purchasing a certain piece, but then like adapting it and changing up a couple fixtures just to make it like your own unique piece. Now I got a question because I did not watch I watched Dragon Ball Z. I'm like caught up on everything like that, but I think you had a great point with like how your parents expected you to like try to mold you in a certain frame, a certain construct, but you vibe with Vegeta because it's like he has the hardships of like he's expected to be number one, be the greatest, but there's adversity with everything. You're not just given an easy road to life, and I think that would be boring if you gave him an easy road. I actually like the adversity. I like the hard work, but I never vibed with Vegeta on that aspect. Like I loved Vegeta because his design was like I was so shallow. Like I just loved his design minus his hairline. But looking at it now, holy shit! Like
everyone has gotten better.
Yeah, no. I love his design and everything now, but I never really thought about his backstory like you did. Like that's crazy. What the hell?
Yeah, I'm actually getting one of my best friends, Shogun Steel. She and I are getting Saiyan logo tattoos, like kind of like best friend tattoos, because both of us, like, I met her and she was wearing a Dragon Ball Z Stormtrooper hybrid costume, and I
at one of the conventions, or
yeah, and so we just connected and we've been best friends ever since. So we're gonna get some Saiyan logo tattoos, which I'm like, for tattoos, I have a giant Sailor Mars one just because I also connect with her character. So it's probably what the next body art's going to be, is just characters I relate with. I'm just going to get their logos on me.
When did you watch Sailor Moon? Did you watch it when it was English dub back on like YTV or whatever? Or did you watch the Japanese? Like, how did you get introduced to Sailor Moon?
So I have sisters who are 10 years older than me. And I remember when we were growing up, my sisters would sit me down and make me watch Sailor Moon with them. So I was probably about 3 years old when I started watching it, and I'm pretty sure it was on YTV. But it wasn't until my sisters got older, they got a hold of the Japanese versions and some of the movies which were banned in Canada. And I remember sitting down and watching it with them. So I've honestly, Sailor Moon has been pretty much the one anime that really got me into everything.
I watched.
And then, yeah.
Sorry, I watched Sailor. I loved Sailor Moon. I'm not even gonna. I didn't when I started watching it. I was probably around the same age. No. I would say I was like 5 to 8 years old when I was watching Sailor Moon, and I didn't know the difference between anime and like SpongeBob. Like in terms of like there's different genres. I thought it was all just cartoons. But I remember watching the English dub of Sailor Moon for like a couple seasons, or at least I didn't know the different the different seasons at the time. But, like I remember watching that for months and months and months, and I used to dance with it. I fell in love with the voice actor for I think Mimi or whatever, the pink haired one that looks like Sailor Moon, short pink hair. Like I fell in love with yeah, because I think was it Mini Moon? I don't even know. Like what the hell was it?
Well, Chibi Moon's Japanese, yeah. Mini Moon. That's actually the Sugar from YTV
That's
too.
what I'm
So
saying. That's what I'm saying.
yeah.
Once I put that together, I was like, holy shit, Sugar voice acted her, and I love Sugar. I had the biggest crush on Sugar when I was a little kid, and I was like, holy crap, she voice acts this, and like when that clicked, I don't know, I fell in love with that as well. I fell off of it when I got a little bit older, but that was like a pillar of my anime with like Pokemon and Digimon. Like that was like one of the beginning, like one of the earlier shows that I watched, and I freaking loved it. And I'm glad like it's still. I think they did a reboot last year or something. They did like an anime continuation of it. I'm not too sure, but
yeah, Sailor Moon Crystal. It's been, I think they're on season 4 or 5 right now.
Holy shit, I've been missing that.
Yeah,
but I know that came out. I was like, yo, that's dope.
Yeah, that one follows the manga, so there's not a lot of filler, which is what they did for High, where they just got rid of all the filler, which was awesome because you kind of get to watch the storyline without watching people charge up for 5 episodes.
I don't even know the storyline for Sailor Moon. When I watched it, it was like, I watched the earlier episodes when they were like figuring out their powers and everything like that, and then when they end up meeting, like I don't even know his name, but I'm gonna call him Prince Charming. But when they met that yeah, that guy was my favorite. Okay, obviously he was a dude and I was a little kid, but I was like, yo, this guy, him and like the main character Sailor Moon or whatever, like he was my favorite, one of my favorite characters because like he just threw roses at people or whatever, and I was just like, what the fuck? That's pretty badass.
This is about superpowers, throwing roses at people and running away.
But he was sick because like I don't know, man. I was a romantic, a helpless romantic at like the age of 8 for whatever reason. Yeah. And I knew that there's something was going on between him and the main character, so I don't know.
Yeah.
That was like
I connected when I was watching it. Like even when I was a younger kid, I hated how wimpy Usagi was to Sailor Moon, who, what is her name in the English version? Serena? I just hated how whiny she was, but I related to Mars, aka Ray, because she was just badass chick who was her own thing. And it's like, I don't need a man. I can rescue myself. And I just related so much to her. That's why I cosplay her.
I am okay, so I'm working on 3 comics. The third one is going to be released in like a month or 2, but the 2 comics that I have, that's actually like, I don't follow the tropes of like the helpless woman that needs like a savior. Like there's going to be points where the girls do get saved, the guys do get saved, but for the most part my women are like the badasses that could hold their own. They could freaking carry the heavy loads of their teammates. Like I like it when all my characters are empowered. And Sailor Mars, along with like a few other their names are escaping me, they're Japanese names, but I like the characters that like kick ass, like straight up, like the I don't want to call them bipolar, but I guess the super aggressive, like get ready to die type characters. I don't know, I like those the best with like the female casts.
Have you seen Ruby? That's one of the reasons why I cosplay Yang too, because she's just such a fucking badass, and I relate to her struggles too.
I fucking love Ruby. Are you caught up? Did you watch the most recent episode? Are you caught up on this?
No, I am super far behind. I need to
catch up.
I need a bit.
Because Yang, the character growth in Yang in the most recent season that just finished, I think last weekend, Yang is amazing. Oh my gosh, like Ruby's sick. And you did cosplay Yang. Holy shit. Yo, Yang is
Yeah,
badass.
she's one of my most popular ones. I have a lot of people asking
For
for her to show up.
continuations, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm remaking her what are they called? They're gauntlets. I'm gonna remake. I got some flack for having the bullet shells on backwards, but I was too lazy to cap off the ends of them, so I'm just gonna remake the whole thing.
Yeah. Are you gonna do it with? I don't know if you did it the first time. Cause how far are you? Because I don't want to spoil anything either.
Season 4.
Do you know what? Well, I don't even know which one season 4 is. Do you know what happened to Yang?
I know she lost her arm.
Okay, good. So I can talk about her. Are you gonna redo it where you have like a robotic arm? Or
I want to do that version. I still do season 1 version of her in her battle outfit,
yeah.
but I do want to do I want to do the one where they go out in like their streetwear battle kind of version.
The casual,
I
but
do,
like yeah.
Yeah, I do want to try to make the arm because I do want to try to do Edward from Full Metal Alchemist. So I want to learn how to do.
Did you watch? Oh my god, that's my favorite show and one of my favorite characters. Holy shit. There's no
Yeah.
way.
It's been on my list forever to do it. And one of my friends from high school and I love that anime. And she's always like, can you make me this? Can you make me this? I'm like, I have no idea how to do arms yet. But once I learn, I'm going to make one. And I also just want to be a really bratty short person for a convention.
Edward Elric is like my favorite character. No, I would say one of my favorite characters. But that anime is my favorite show of all time. I love Full Metal Alchemist is like the greatest. Brotherhood. The greatest.
Yeah.
Like
I love the storyline on it.
I mean, he's yeah. I cried. I'm not gonna lie. I cried 2 or 3 times. Like I rewatched it a couple times, and I cried each time. I just love the flow of it, and the story is awesome. And Edward Elric, like he's just like his character is just amazing. Like especially when people make fun of his height, and then he just snaps. Like
Yeah.
I love Edward Elric. Moving on though from that. Because if we talk about anime, like literally, it's gonna be. I'll talk for like 3 hours on that.
Yeah, 3-hour long podcast. Who wants that?
With regards to cosplay now, do you view? And this is probably a simple ass question, but do you view cosplay as like a form of art itself? Because some people, I don't know, especially like the lewd cosplayers, a lot of people scrutinize cosplay in general, saying you're just ripping off. You're like culture vulturing. You're like ripping off, and you're just like perverting it. Like how do you see cosplay? Do you see it as a form of art, an expression of oneself? How do you view cosplay as a whole?
Myself, for what I do, I really do see it as an artwork. I do know a lot of people go the route of doing the sexier versions, which, you know what, honestly, you do you. I have no problem with it. But if your main goal is just get lingerie of a character and pose in front of a camera for followers, to me, that's not cosplay. And I might get some flack for that, but for me...
I'm doing the shots fired. Hand signs right now. I'm probably going to get sound effects on there. Shots fired. Yeah. She's talking to you.
Oh, I've seen some people who don't even, give a shit about characters. And for me, cosplay is like getting into the character, becoming the character yourself. Mm-hmm. And I do see it as work because, like, you got the acting, you have the creative aspect of building armor, like painting. I was teaching some people how to make armor, and I had to show them how to paint. And I'm like, this is like preschool again. Mm-hmm. But I realized a lot of people don't have that aspect of being able to paint, to shade, to do weathering. It's just like the whole thing. Like, I don't know how to sew. People show me. Mm-hmm. It's definitely a skill that it's not easy to learn, but if you are creative, if you have that artistic background, it's a little bit easier to dive into it. But again, like, anyone can do it.
And that's so good for clearing that up, because I'm not gonna hate on the people that do like the lewd and erotic cosplay. Of course not. Like, whatever floats their boat, whatever they want to label it as. But I do have concerns when that's all that they do, and then they call them that form cosplay. Like, I'm a lewd erotic cosplay strictly, but then I don't know, like, you could do whatever you want, you could call it whatever you want, but I personally like a variety. So of course I like that, and then of course I like it when they do the proper costumes, and then they add the effects to it. Maybe they go to like sceneries that was like, for instance, like your Yang cosplay, like having like the aura around her arms, or like, I don't know, I like when people go out of the norms and they add little variety to their cosplay. And I do feel it as a form of art because not only are you crafting the costumes itself, you're acting like you mentioned, you're getting in the zone of the character. And I think like if I'm definitely gonna buy a few costumes in the future, but like that's like the number one, like you're like the number one fan at that point. You know what I'm saying? Like you watch the character grow, you read the stories, and then you become the character. Like what the that's amazing.
Yeah.
I don't care what
That's what I love about it too. Like I love Vegeta and the fact that I got to cosplay him, even though it's a gender bent version. I didn't want to do. Yeah. I've seen some girls who do it where it's kind of like low cut armor, your boobs are hanging out. Like that's fine for them, but I wanted to be more authentic with mine. And at one point, I did have heels on for mine because I'm like, you know what, I want to be a tall Vegeta, but I just realistically walking in 8-inch heels is not something I want to do. So now, like, I have the flat boots, I have the full pant bodysuit. I'm going to be getting a muscle tone suit soon for him. I'm going to actually be redoing it. I'm going to be making some Bardock armor next.
Okay.
And I want to do Super Saiyan God Vegeta just because I really want to have pink hair. Because why not?
You have the tail, right? I don't know if
I do. So sometimes I'll wear it, sometimes I won't wear it. It just depends on the day and if I feel like handling a tail for the day.
Yeah, I could imagine. I mean, you could wrap it. I don't know how it would look if you wrap it around, kind of like what they. Did you watch the Super Broly movie or?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, how was that? Like,
I wanted Broly armor so bad.
Oh my god, I know. Like, Broly's actually kick ass. I didn't think they would do that good of a job. Like, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
The movie was amazing. I had issues with the. I'm a nerd when it comes to dialogue. I wish they like talked a bit more of like the history of like the Saiyans, and I wanted to learn a bit more about Vegeta's past. Like what the hell? Like how did he feel when he was growing up? Freaking, he was the scene that we saw of Vegeta when he was a kid. This guy couldn't give a shit about who were they talking about? Goku, and then like, Goku's brother didn't even give a shit about his own. Like,
oh yeah,
Raditz.
Like, oh, he's just
yeah, like oh my god, like I haven't talked to those guys in years or whatever. He's just a little.
I'm like these freaking built 6-year-olds. I'm like, what's wrong with you?
That's what I'm saying. I wanted to smack them. Like, why are you gonna disrespect your family, your people like that? But they're savages. Like that's how they were raised. So, and even the adults were kind of like, oh shit, okay, I get it. They're like, damn.
Well, I'm happy that we got to see more Saiyans because now when people give me shit for not spiking my hair because I don't have time to style wigs, if you style wigs, kudos because I can't do it. I can now say, hey, it's canon. Some Saiyans have flat hair, so no one can give me crap anymore for that.
Oh, you're right. That because that movie is strictly canon. It's not no like spin-off or anything like that. Oh, you're right. Eat a dick to all those people hating. Yeah. And besides, like, it's not like. It's your freaking your art. Like you could do it whatever you want with it, as long as you're not being like, I don't know, super insensitive or whatever. But if you want to style the hair differently, like I don't know why people complain about that stuff.
Yeah, I do that for Mars too. It's just because like I can have bangs on my wigs, but like I made a tiara, I want to show it off, so I'll do the side swept bangs. I also don't want to have hair in my face all day.
I love bangs. Moving forward with that. You answered that creating costumes is kind of like a mix, but you do adapt your costumes, you do edit it, and make changes to them. What were some of the most like the hardest or the most complex costume that you ever made, or you ever wore? Like, what was some of the more difficult ones?
So the most difficult one was the first time I ever made Warbler armor. My friend Alana Waffles and I. She wanted to show me how she's like my cause mom. She took me and showed me how to do everything I know. And it was like, oh, let's do like a Valkyrie, Latios, and Latias from Pokemon. So Lady Glatsy designed us a Valkyrie armor set. And Alana showed me everything from shaping like breastplates, making armor, making like boot armor, making capes, we did wigs, we sewed in clips to our wigs for headpieces. Like it was a full out thing. And she went away because she was working at some conventions for a while, so we ended up compiling this entire costume within 2 weeks. And so this is between both of us working full-time jobs. Finished these costumes, painted them, made swords, made shields, the whole thing. Went to Fan Expo Vancouver. I think this was in like 2013, 2014. 2015, somewhere around then. and mine fell apart. So I was sitting in the hotel room just kind of like staring at the ground because I'm like, I just put in 2 weeks of like nonstop work, pulling like almost all-nighters on this thing for it to fall apart. And I know there's a lot of cosplayers who can relate to that because a lot of people do everything last minute. But we ended up fixing up the costumes for the Calgary Expo, and it was the most uncomfortable thing I have ever worn in my life. My contacts were coming out, the headpiece was too tight. My chest piece was like the Warbler like warped a little bit, and I couldn't reshape it because I had all this paint on it, and I didn't want to, kill myself with and heat it up again. But we pulled through. We got some pictures, and I never wore it again.
You're like, get him out of here! Like, get this out of here.
I still have it because I want to use it as like future reference and design, but I don't think I'm ever gonna put it on again.
It's the same with anything that you do for the first time, and it's a learning experience. But like, it's funny because looking back at it, like some people get pissed like the first thing wasn't like perfect, but I think it's best for you to learn it and then you improve on it for the next iterations. I'm going like the first costume that I'm gonna do. I'm gonna purchase it. I'm gonna probably do Edward Elric, to be honest.
Oh yeah.
I just need to find like proper like metal arm. I don't even know how that would go. Like a glove. I don't even know. That's gonna be the first costume I do. It's gonna be pretty simple.
You can find templates online. Like, there's no way I would have been able to figure out how to make Sane armor without going on. I think I used Evil Ted. I just used like a basic armor template, and I had it. I've been using it ever since. Like, I think I helped make 7 other pieces of Sane armor, and then I've made 2 other variations of Sane armor for costumes as well.
What was the largest convention that you went to? Was it Anime Expo for Vancouver? Have you ever been to America for Anime Expo? Or no?
I haven't been to the American version. I went to WonderCon, which is probably the biggest one I've been to. That was super fun. American cons are completely different than Canadian cons. It's a completely different atmosphere, and I love them, and I wish I can go to more. It's just, money. Mm-hmm. But I've been to Stanley's Comic Expo. That was 2 years ago. That one was super fun to go to as well in LA, but I think WonderCon so far has been my favorite.
Where's WonderCon? That's in the States, you said, right?
Yeah, it's in Anaheim.
That's it. Okay, so I'm planning on going to Anime Expo this year in LA. I believe it's held. And I've been to Anime North and I've been to Fan Expo in Toronto. They're good. Like, they're really good. I'm going again this year, but there's like you said, there's something different with the atmosphere in the American conventions. And Anime Expo, they show screenings of like new movies and new animes and shows that are gonna come out later on that year or early next year. So I just want to like experience that vibe. Oh man, that's like the mecca of just nerds and otakus and everything like that. Like
my dream con is the Dragon Ball Con. I really want to go to it.
Isn't that they probably hold it in America, but I know Japan. Okay, I went to Japan last year. I went to the street where it's famous for cosplayers to like go around and mingle and take photos and everything like that. And I went at the shittiest time. Like, the weather was shit. No one was there. I'm planning on going to Japan next year, and I'm gonna do it properly. But is that event held in Japan or is that event held in America as well? It's
in the States. I think it was in Texas last time. I think it's one of those ones that rotate. I'm actually going to Japan in 3 weeks.
What?
So if I see that street, I'll take pictures for you.
Have you ever been there before, or is this your first time?
No, this is my first trip. So my sister used to live there. She's not English. So we're going on a trip with my niece, and we're going for 2 weeks.
Oh my God.
And it's completely nerd themed. Like, we already have, like, we're going to the Pokemon Go cafe. We have the robot restaurant booked.
I skipped that. It's expensive, but you're gonna have fun. I've seen pictures. I was outside of it, and there's like 2 big ass robots at the entrance, and I was there for 2 weeks too. Listen, go to Akihabara, obviously. The nightlife. How old is your niece, if you don't mind me asking, or like what's her age?
She's 8, so we're doing nothing adult on this trip.
Oh, okay. It's still gonna be fun. The next trip you make, there's Roppongi, is like
the clubbing district, and it's the nightlife there is amazing. Like everyone's just out all night, all day, just partying. I'm not even gonna lie, it was amazing. But when I went to Japan, like every city that you go to just had, it felt like it was like a different theme. Like there's a city that's like famous for its food in Tokyo. So there's a city or district, I don't know what they're called, but that's like famous for its food. Awesome. There's another one that's like famous for its like malls. And then there's one that's like a party nightlife. Like every city, every district had like a certain theme with it. And it was like the best time of my life. Like I'm not even gonna lie. It was honestly amazing. The people are very nice.
Yeah, this trip has been in the works since I think I was in like junior high with my sister, and then she went to go live there for 2 years, and like she was sending me all these pictures and all that, and then now it's just kind of like I'm settled into my job, like I have a place to live in, I've saved some money up, and then she was just like, why don't we just go?
Yeah.
So we're going.
Hell yeah.
Everything's booked.
Please tell me, update me when you get back. Like, I didn't want to go. Go back home. I mean, like, on the night of the night before you had to pack up and get ready. Like, I almost cried because the food, like the atmosphere. I'm black, so when I went there, everyone's staring at me. Like, everyone's looking at me. But it wasn't. I didn't feel any animosity or hate. It was just like curiosity. They're like, oh, we don't really see your kind here that often. But it wasn't like I didn't feel any like ill will towards me. And when I spoke to people, they were so nice. They were accommodating. So like I don't speak Japanese, so I would show them like Google translations of like what I need help with, and they would try their best to speak English. They would just try their best, like everyone. And I don't know, I'm definitely going back again next year, but it's the best place I've ever been to. You're gonna have a great time. But you kind of mentioned something that it would be perfect to segue into is the work life. So I recently stopped working on like, you know, the not even conventional, but you know, the full-time, part-time work life. I stopped working, so now I'm committing 100% on my own business, content creation, art, comics. Like I'm a nerd. I'm a full-fledged nerd. Like I'm all into it now. I just started doing that like a few days ago. So I'd like to get your perspective, because I was working full-time. I stopped and I switched to part-time, so I had more time to develop my business, to develop just more free time, because I fucking hate full-time work. How was it for you balancing cosplaying and then of course like work life and then your personal life? How difficult or how fun or like how was it for you to balance so many different things?
It's insane. So when I was in university, I was working about 3 jobs. And I was just always so busy. And I did 5 years. I did a study abroad, which was the first time where I wasn't working. And I just got so used to doing something all the time and never having a moment to stop and breathe. And that did catch up with me. Like I did have a lot of mental health issues a couple years ago. I'm doing better now. But I mean, as I'm getting older, it's getting a little bit hard right now. I work a full-time job at a governing body, and then I work at a radio station on the weekends. So it's hard for me to balance to make costumes, but also have time to kind of remain sane. A lot of my friends are in the cosplay scene, so when we're hanging out, we're probably crafting. One of my friends, before she moved to Vancouver, I would go over to her house and we would spend the day, and she'd be sewing and I'd be working on stuff, and that was my social life, which is like it's fine. Like I'm not one to go out and party or anything like that, so like for me, going out and like working on stuff with friends is a good day for me.
Yeah.
But it's definitely important to like remember, cosplay for me is a hobby. Crafting really helps with my anxiety and depression, so I definitely stick with that as a therapy source. But I just like I've scaled back a little bit, and I just, as like my therapist said, like do this for fun. The second that it stops being fun, take a breather. Because I burnt myself out one convention and I was so sick for like a month after, and it was just not fun.
Did you burn out from all the hard work that you've been doing, and then like the anxiety kind of like took over, or was it?
Yeah, so I was doing a group. It was the Saiyan Scout group that I did. So I designed all the costumes. None of the girls I was with ever made a costume before. So me being ambitious was like, okay, well, let's all make Saiyan armor, which is really hard to do when you're teaching 6 other girls how to do it.
Yeah.
And it was also the only one that drove, so it was really hard because I had to go pick everyone up, get them to my place where I had a workstation, get them to work on stuff, focus on working, drive them all home afterwards, get all these costumes done, plus my own costume, plus the 2 other costumes I was building for the expo. And it was so stressed and strung out. Like, I wasn't sleeping, I wasn't eating, and I didn't have fun at the convention at all. Like, I was so, like, my anxiety was just through the roof. I was so stressed out. So I promised myself after that I wasn't going to do that again.
Just to pace yourself a little bit better, honestly.
Yeah, also don't try to make 5 cosplays and then on top of that 7 other cosplays.
And you have to teach on top of that, like tell people how like it should be worn, what the do's and don'ts as well. Like, what the hell?
And trying to have everyone's like quality match and like make it my vision. Because I designed these. This was like a dream cosplay group for me, which now, like, I don't regret it, but at the same time, I wish I went at it a different style.
You know what? Even if you mess up the first time, like, that's looking back at it and understanding the because you're always gonna learn. There's nothing wrong with making mistakes. Everyone's like, I think, gets too strung up on the mistakes and the L's that you take.
Yeah.
And not focus on like, okay, that was a mistake, but if I didn't do it before, how do I know? Like, where's the barometer? Like, how do I measure what's good and what's not good if I don't actually do it? So it took a lot of strength to do that. And it's like, it's a self-awareness would be like the biggest thing. One thing that I learned in the past year is I was working full time, like, because after college, that's another topic for another podcast, but the whole college system and then being in debt, thousands of dollars post graduation, and then like obviously you have other bills that you have to pay for. So like when I finished graduating, when I graduated and I got a full-time job after that, I worked every single day. I was out and I had to take the bus, so I was literally outside, like I was working or outside of my home for about 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 hours a day. I was not at home, and I was sitting down. So I was at work for 8 hours a day. I had to take the bus, which was 2 hours there, 2 hours back. So about 12 hours in general that I wasn't home. And when I got home, I would sit down and be on my computer for another like 4 hours. So I was like I was living an unhealthy life, sitting down for like 15, 16 hours a day, every single day for a year. Like I was messed up. I had a couple breakdowns. Like I would like cry a couple times during the night. I wouldn't pass out like a faint or anything like that, but I would feel so fatigued that as soon as I laid down, I would just pass out, I guess. But and it took a toll on me. But when I quit that job because I wasn't happy. It's not what I wanted to do for the rest of my life, and it's just an unhealthy lifestyle. And when I quit that and I went part-time after that, I felt I had more time to think and talk to myself, and I realized like things take time. Like what I want to do for the rest of my life is content create and do what I like, be a boss of my own thing, run my own business. And I had to like learn patience and gain more self-awareness about myself. And I haven't went to a therapist or anything regarding that. I kind of just like internally reflected. But I think more and more back on the past, like I wish I had someone that I could talk to. I wish I did go to therapy for a little bit, or I had my family that I always talk to. But sometimes it's good to have like a third person to speak with that has no context on your life whatsoever, but at least like they could paint like a narrative for you. Like I don't know if you want to discuss like the whole therapy concept of that, but have you felt like therapy was a good outlet for you to kind of express your feelings? Was that positive? Did you get anything out of that?
Yeah, so with me, like, mental health is such a huge deal. I went through my entire life. I had my depression moments as a angsty teenager, but I never really thought about it. until like I was in a relationship that was just mentally abusive. I had an eating disorder. I was unhappy. And I was at work, which was really stressed out, and I was going to a convention, and I had a full breakdown at work. Like, that was my kind of like, I need to get help. So thankfully I had a manager who's super, super pro mental health. Like, she's seen panic attacks before. This was a full-blown anxiety attack, like the whole paper bag breathing in thing. That was me for 3 hours. And thankfully in Calgary, we have a system where if it's a really bad mental breakdown, they can send therapists to your house if you have no way to go see them. So I talked to someone, and then I had a couple sessions, and like that made me realize, hey, I have a relationship I need to get out of. I got diagnosed with anorexia. I got that fixed. I got on medication to help me, and just like talking to someone who didn't know my life beforehand has helped me so much, just to realize what's really important and what I should stick with. And they were super stoked about the cosplay thing. They're like, this is a really good hobby to have. It keeps your hands busy, keeps your mind busy. If you're having a really stressful day, it's a really good way to kind of forget everything. Yeah, so that's why I really like doing it. Or even if I do paintings for my friends. Right now I'm doing a lot of Godzillas, which is my popular thing right now.
Yeah.
So I'm doing a bunch of these weird, shadowy, 3D different texture. I'm actually looking at one right now. I'm waiting for my friend to come pick it up. And it has Godzilla shooting a glitter laser beam. And he's silhouetted with yellow on it because that's the color scheme my friend wanted. And I'm just like, I do them to relax, and then I just give them to people who want them.
I have so much respect for people that address these situations and not just hold it in. I've always been the guy. I bounce back whenever I'm low. I'm low for a few days. Like, I'm very like not depressed all the time, but like sometimes I get upset about like how things are going, and then I would be kind of like mad and upset at the situation for a few hours, maybe a couple days, and then I bounce back and I don't look back. So last year I went through so much turmoil as well. There was so much, but I think I was so impartial. Looking back at it now, I was very impartial. Like, I was at the point where there's just so much family issues happening, financial issues that are happening, and like emotional issues within. Like, I was going through like ups and downs, and I kind of like was like robotic at that point. Like I kind of like detached myself from all of that, and I was living, but I wasn't feeling pain. Like, I was loving life. I wasn't hating. I don't know. I was very impartial to certain things.
You're
like,
to everything.
Like my parents were going through a divorce, right? They had to move homes, and I have little brothers that I have to take care of, and all of this was happening. But I never thought it would have been. I always had the mindset of like, I'm going through some shit right now, but it's always gonna get better. Like, I never digressed, and because I was so, I don't know, like, it was weird. Like, I've never handled that amount of stress before in my life, and I kind of felt robotic. Like, I was just like, holy shit, like, my life is like crumbling right now. You know that meme of that guy that's like in the fire, and he's just like, everything's fine, dude. Like, literally, my life was a wreck, but I was just like chilling, and I've never experienced anything like that. And then now, like, and I think that helped me, because like now when things go, like, now like I don't even have that much issues because everything's been resolved, thankfully. But now whenever like I post content, for instance, or when I was sharing some of your content, the pictures, some people were hating. They're like, that's not really cosplayer or whatever, and I'm like, before I oh my,
I'm like,
God, I'm just like, before I used to be so pissed, but after that experience, you think I care about some random nerd on the internet, their opinions of me? Like, I'm not doing anything evil, malicious, hateful. I'm posting content because A, I want to grow a brand. I want to do things with my life that's proactive, and B, of course I do want to make money, but I'm not doing anything in a negative way. So like, now when I post content, when I go outside, I have this type of swagger where it's like, honestly, you have no context on my life, you have no control over my life. I don't give a shit what you say about me, especially if it's like negative or hurtful or anything like that. Like, I really could give a shit. I don't give a shit, and I don't know, that's been working so far. And once that mindset kind of kicked in, I've been meeting like a lot more different people that have like share the same mindset. I don't know. It's like the laws of attraction. Like I don't know. It trips me out, but
Yeah.
I'm glad like I'm glad like we're in an era now as well where it's like we're kind of in like a sensitive era for good or for worse. But at least people are talking about like they're talking about what they feel is right, what they feel is wrong. Like there's discussion being had, where before like no one really talked about this shit.
Yeah, and it's like,
yeah,
even for the comments, I've really pulled myself back because there was a point where I'd be like posting every day, making new content, putting on my costumes at home to get pictures just to get new content. And it got to the point where I was like so determined to get to this certain follower point where I kind of stopped caring about the quality of pictures I was posting just so I could get more stuff out. And I stopped that because I'm just at the point where I'm like, I have enough pictures of cosplay. I'll just like, recycle what I can. Right now, there's no conventions. Like I'm going to a horror convention in 2 weeks.
Yeah, you did a couple of those a few weeks ago as well. Another convention, but your job, I guess. At the time.
Yeah, and I'm just like kind of recycling them, or I'm like posting pictures of like my actual day-to-day life, just because it's gotten to the point where like I don't want to have to post on my social media that I'm in a relationship so I can get some skeezy guy off my back. At this point, I just ban people. I don't goals. I just ban them, delete their comments. I don't care. My Facebook page has a lot of people who think they can get away with sending me dick pics, and I don't know why it's just my Facebook page. Instagram, the weirdest one I ever got was some guy sent me a picture of his butt, and I was like, okay, thanks. I want to see this. But my Facebook page, I'm just like, I don't want to see this. Why do you think that you should send to someone who's dressed up as a thing? Like, stop doing that.
I think okay. So when I was posting, I was when I first started working with cosplayers, you, Ari, and a few others, I was posting a lot of their content at like one point of time. Like every single day, I was posting a different picture, and I got I didn't get a dick pic, but I got a flirtatious message. And they're just like, oh, hey, hottie, you're so sexy. Please show me what you got. Like, he was trying to flirt with me, like, trying to make me send him nudes. And I'm just like, I laughed so hard. I'm like, oh my, why do you think this is right? Like, not, like, why do you think this works? Like, do you think someone would be like, yo, you know what? Here you go. Here's this booty pic. You know what? Like, I was laughing, like, and I could only imagine people that are like that actually do cosplay and post pictures daily, the amount of different content, interesting comments and DMs.
I got a DM last week and someone straight up send nudes, and I just sent him a GIF saying that's not going to happen, and he deleted his comment, and then below my GIF was just like, haha, I thought I would try. I'm like, has this ever worked for you? Or I'll just send pictures of my boyfriend's face or a video of him just saying fuck off, because sometimes I lose them. But any male listening to this, do not send dick pics. And I've had some girl cosplayers, like one of my best friends, Bombshell Cosplay, she's had vagina pics sent to her. So it's both genders. Don't send your genitalia over the internet.
Yes, please don't. Like, I don't know why. I don't know. This happens all the time. It will continue to happen to the end of time. But
yeah,
I don't get it. I don't know what. I get it. I know some people troll, obviously, but like, I don't know. I'm not the type of person to just send any, even if I don't know, man. That shit's weird. Now, moving forward for the next one, I think that's a good comment. Like, how do you deal with the hate now? You block people? Do you still leave some of the negative comments? Because sometimes it's good to just have like criticism on your page so people could see that it's not all roses and sunshine. Like,
nothing is ever perfect. I don't get a ton of comments on my stuff just because of the way like Instagram and Facebook is working around. I do address, like, if someone, like, I had one person give me like a 1-star review on Facebook, and I messaged him, I'm like, what can I do to be better? And he was like, I just didn't like your page, so I gave it a 1 star. I was like, okay, well, thank you for bringing me down on my ratings. But like, I mean, if it's a personal attack, I will delete it. I have some people in the community who really hate me and have me blocked, and they've had their followers go up onto my account and not block me, but put really, really mean comments in, and I'll just block them and delete them. So if it's a personal attack, it's removed. If it's a criticism on my cosplay, I'll keep it up and I'll ask them, like, what do you think I can do to be better? Because, like, I will take your criticism and I'll make myself better with it.
You know the funniest comments? Sometimes, so I get some hate too. I get some criticism. Sometimes it's fair. Sometimes I think it's just like plain hating. Sometimes I message them and I'm like, yo, what don't you like? What don't you understand? And the funniest replies is, it's just shit. It's just trash. And I'm just like, reasonable, okay, reasonable. That makes sense. Like, some people are just wilding. I don't know, man. I think it's funny. I think some people are bored, and they want some excitement, so they kind of stir the pot. And I don't really.
Yeah.
I try to reply to everyone. Hate, not hate, unless it's like some racist stuff or something like truly vile, then I'll block and delete. But I haven't had to do that. I don't know. I really don't care what these trolls have to say. And I think I don't want to go too deep or back on the subject, but I think that, like, I'm glad you have that mindset, because some people they really get hurt from mean comments. And not only do they get hurt, but it stops them from posting new stuff because they're afraid of the criticism that they might get, or the hates or the dislikes, or they don't post it if they don't get a certain amount of likes or a certain amount of content. They stop posting. Yeah. And you mentioned this before. You went through a similar period where you felt the need to post a lot of content in order to get your clout up, but then after a point, you're just like, you kind of like came to that self-realization where it's like, I'm just gonna post genuine content that I like, regardless of like the followers or the likes or dislikes or anything like that. And I think that's very important, regardless. Like,
Well, my favorite thing is when, like, I'll post, like, I do have some, like, not lewd photos, but they're more boudoir-esque, where I try to take the essence of the character. Like, I have a Linkle one where I'm wearing half of her costume still. And, like, I'll post that, and suddenly I have, like, hundreds of new followers. And then a week later, when I post something where I'm fully clothed, they're like, no, I'm not going to follow this account. I'm like, just look at my account. You know what I'm about. Like, I have, like, my Bunny Vegeta shoot. That one blew up, and I haven't done anything since. A lot of people being like, why aren't you doing this again? Because I'm like, well, I don't want to. I've already done it.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. They think that once you dip your toes into that every single piece of content is like that. I posted an erotic picture from one of the cosplayers that I'm working with, and that blew up. And I got, like, I'm not even lying, I got like 300 followers from that post on Instagram. And then that's when, like, a bunch of DMs started flooding my way, like, oh, I'll hire you to cosplay like a personal request. And I'm like, sorry, dude, I'm not the cosplayer.
Yeah.
I'll let her know or whatever. But sometimes they have it's high expectations. Like, they think that that's all you're gonna post. They want more of that lewd stuff. It's like, yo, listen, the time will come when I post it, but that's not who I'm not, like, one-dimensional like that. Like, I'm gonna post the stuff that I want to post, like, regardless of what you like or dislike. Like, I don't know. Like,
yeah.
I don't know why you're on my stuff.
I think my favorite thing when it comes to Instagram is finding pictures of myself that people take of conventions. Because, like, I always be like, oh, you know, just put in the convention hashtag, like, I'll find them and then you guys can tag me, or I have business cards to give to people. Mm-hmm. And there was one where I was just Sailor Mars, mm-hmm. and it was just a bad photo of me. Like, I was not posing, I was not ready for the photo. And someone posted it, they were just like, oh my god, I love the Sailor Mars, blah, blah, blah. And someone commented, they're like, oh, that's a man, sweetie. And I commented, I'm just like, I'm not a man. It was a bad, like, you know, bad timing photo. Mm-hmm. And I did tell the person, I'm like, if you ever want a really good photo, and this goes out to everyone, ask the cosplayer. They will pose for you. You will not have us looking like we're slouching in on. I have resting bitch face. Like, if you're gonna catch me off guard, you're gonna get a really bad picture of me. So just ask.
Just how many conventions have you gone to in total? Like, roughly?
A lot. I can't even think of a number. So I've been to WonderCon, Stanley's Comic Expo, Fan Expo Vancouver, Edmonton Expo, Calgary Expo I go every year, Oda Fest, Animathon, trying to remember there's some really small towns, like there's some small town ones in Alberta that I've been to. I've been to one that we have in Calgary called Red and White Con, which is like a really small, like one room convention. I'm going to Edmonton in 2 weeks, which is the horror con in Edmonton, where I'll dress up as my version of Jason Voorhees, which I do like a magical schoolgirl twist on it.
Okay. Do you have a list of this? Because I need this list. Like, I need this list because I scouted a few conventions that I want to go to, but I feel like I'm missing just like way too much. Like, you listed 8 more that I've never heard of in my life. They might be closer to you, but they might also be close to me. I don't know.
Well, Calgary has a really, and this convention exploded in the last couple of years. I remember when I was reporting for a paper, I got a media pass.
Oh shit.
And we got in. They weren't letting people in, but we got in because we had a media pass. People were pissed because they were over capacity. And since then, they've now expanded. So the Calgary one is on, we have Stampede grounds. So it's kind of like right by where our hockey rink is, like where the Calgary Flames play. And it's spread out through 3 different buildings as well as outdoors. So they have like the area for celebrities. They have an area, different building for photo shoots. They have a different building for local artists to be in. And then they have a merch building. It's gotten weird though. Last year they had like, there's a vodka company that had took a huge chunk of the room for like, here's an adult lounge, and then they had a car company take a whole section. So we're kind of like, it's getting away from the comic essence and more of like an average convention, like, oh, let's throw in a bunch of advertising stuff and things that aren't comic book related. And they got a lot of bad backlash of it. I mean, it was the first time that Fan Expo took over the Calgary Stampede, the Calgary Expo. So I'm really hoping
they do it right
this year a little bit better, but they've also been really lack of their announcements. Like before, it used to be like before December, we would know a bunch of guests. There would be pre-sales, tickets would be sold out already. But now it's like we've announced like 5 people, and people are like, I don't really want to go this year.
You know what?
So I'm hoping.
Anime North, and I'm calling you guys out. Anime North pissed me off. Their updates on like when tickets go on sale. Oh sure, they'll let you know well in advance. They'll let you know months in advance when the tickets go on sale for you to like general admission and stuff like that. But as soon as you need to know if you want to sell something, unless you're in their good graces, like you've already built like history with them and you're like one of their popular merchants or vendors, like the regular vendors, like holy shit, like I don't know when the store goes on sale for like you to apply to sell your own merchandise. And apparently like they don't even give you have to like jump through hoops in order to get like your money. Okay, so basically I'm gonna apply to become a vendor, right? So I could sell my pictures and comics and stuff like that. But yeah, the money I spent on that is like $300 or whatever to have like a table. But it's a lottery, so you don't know if you're gonna get it or not. So I in the meantime I paid for a general admission, just in case I don't get accepted to become a vendor. But the money that I spent, so let's say, which is kind of stupid, because if I bought a general admission, let's say I do get accepted to become a vendor, the money that I spent on the general admission doesn't get like transferred to cover some of the costs for the vendor fees. They expect me to spend another $300 on top of the $50, and I'm just like, I messaged them directly. I had to message the boss. I'm like, are you telling me I can't, if I get accepted, I can't transfer the $50 to cover like a portion of the cost for the vendor fees? And they're like, you're gonna have to message this person and ask this person. And I'm like, okay, but you're quick to make a buck, but you can't help out the artists, like to reduce some of the costs on that by just transferring over. They said that they had troubles in the past with that, and I'm just like, that's bullshit. Like, you just keep a tally of everyone that bought it on like a Google Doc, search up the person that bought a regular admissions pass, search it up if they bought a vendor's pass, and just credit the money. Boom. I don't know, man. Freaking pissed me off.
I mean, we had M10 go a couple years ago made this stupid. Okay, so it was the Calgary and Edmonton Expos were notorious for the people running it hated cosplayers. Like the costume contest was impossible to get into. If you did get into it, they wouldn't give you clear dates or times or sections to get in. Like my that sane Sailor Scout group that I made.
Yeah.
I entered the day the costume contest opened.
Okay.
And they had a server crash, but I had an email confirming that our spot was guaranteed.
Mm-hmm.
And then I didn't hear from them for months. And so finally people were like releasing like, oh yeah, I got into the costume contest. This is awesome. And I was like, oh, I haven't heard anything yet.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I'm hearing from people who applied like a week after I did. And so I messaged them. They're like, oh yeah, we didn't have you in our list. And I'm like, okay, that's bullshit. So I sent them the confirmation email and they're like, yeah, there's nothing we can do about that. And I was just like, it's gotta be kidding me. So I've never tried to enter it again because it's just such a waste of time. And
they give away money at least, like cash prizes.
Yeah,
okay,
they do. And I even had a friend who was one of the prizes because he's a photographer, and they didn't even have any of his bannering up. Like they promised him advertising and all this stuff, and he would help give away the prizes. Nothing. They didn't have the stage ready for when the competition is. Such a gong show. And then Edmonton Expo had the balls to announce that they weren't going to allow stilts or platform shoes or shoes above an inch at the expo.
Okay.
And the backlash. You could imagine the backlash for that one.
Okay. Do they not realize that 80% or more of the audience are cosplayers that are coming? You know, not even like to go inside the building. A lot of them are outside, you know, and mingling and doing their thing. Do you know like half of them are selling stuff too? Like, how do you think you make your money?
I went. Half the vendors pulled out because they were like, no, fuck that. Like, no one's going to be going. I'm not going to make any money. So they pulled out. So they had like maybe 50-60% of the vendors there. And then they had people complaining. So they're like, well, what if I'm wearing medical shoes that are over an inch? Like, are you going to ban me for wearing medical shoes? And people were like, what if I cosplay like has like this height of heel on it? Or what if, you know, I have to do this? And so they took everything back except for the stilts. They wouldn't let any cosplayer in stilts in because they were trying to blame it on insurance, but I'm like, that's not.
At that point, like, I'm sorry, stilts guys and girls, whatever. Like, you got to take the L. Like, if that's, I'm not gonna lie, like, it sucks, but that's such a low minority compared to like the amount of people that do cosplay. But like having no more than an inch, how does that make sense? And a lot of your people are women that are wearing heels or I don't even know what they're called, extensions or highlights or raises. I don't even know what they're called. Platforms. I don't know, but how does that make sense? And then like the vendor issue that I brought up, you understand like half the money that you're getting is from vendors that are trying to sell their stuff. Like you're getting $300 per vendor, but you're oh my god, I don't know. Some of these conventions are like so poorly managed. I'm not saying Anime North is poorly managed, but I just don't understand the logistics behind it. Please help me. One of you guys message me. I don't get it.
Well, there was even one, like, we're looking at the cosplay guests that were there, and I had one friend, and she has a very big following. She's very popular in the convention scene, and she's a local, and she wasn't invited, but there was and she won like a bunch of contests with her costume, but like a fresh newbie cosplayer was invited as a guest, and so a lot of people were like, what are you guys doing? Like, bring in the guests that people want to see. Don't bring in someone who doesn't have a following. No one knows who they are. Type of thing.
Make sure you bring the brands that people like, and then if you want to introduce new blood, that's fine. Give them their time to shine, but like don't pick one or the other. How does that make sense?
I know.
Winding down now. This will be the last topic before we wrap this up because I have one more thing to do after this. You've been cosplaying for just about 4 years, you said, right? Or a little bit more than 4 years. You've been to a ton of conventions. You're going to Japan within a few 2 to 3 weeks, which is going to be awesome. Where do you see the whole cosplay industry go? Where do you see it going in a couple years? Do you see people like legitimately becoming, because some people are idols, like we know a couple people that are like 1 million followers from cosplaying, over 1 million, over 100,000, over 10,000 from cosplaying. Do you ever see yourself in a similar vein, or where do you see cosplay as a whole, as an industry, and where do you see yourself within that industry as well?
I'm really hoping I could get to the point where I could maybe be a guest at a convention. Like, I have had people submit me for guest requests, which would have been super cool if I got in. But the problem is the way that the industry works, you have to have a certain follower amount. Otherwise, they're not going to look at you. Like, I got an email from the Cosplay magazine that was going to interview me, and they just keep pushing the date back and back and back. And they just sent out, they're like, oh, we want to have like these people be like page models, but the requirement is you have to have like 20,000 followers or more, and you have to certain content posted. I'm like, this is insane. And just the way that the cosplay community is, like, I know in Alberta, it is super toxic. Like, it is, I've had friends move provinces because they want to keep cosplaying. It's their livelihood. That's what they do for work.
Yeah.
But the rumor mill out here and how horrible people are to each other has caused people to move. Like, it's made me back down a lot from the community. There's just some really nasty people in it, but I think if we can get over that and get back to the whole art of cosplay, what it's really about, I think it's gonna be really good. But I think right now it's at the point where companies realize it can be a commercial seller. Like, they're gonna get the cosplay models, they're gonna get, you know, booth bitches up in costumes.
I think I'm glad you brought this up. This is a perfect way to end off this podcast. But I think it's not. I'm not gonna say it's unfair, but it's great that you get the big name brands. But what about building a brand? What if you're a convention that picks up someone who has less than 10,000 followers, but the actual quality of the cosplay is phenomenal? Like, don't people think about that? Like, you have over, 400 posts? I know minimum 200 posts, but you have a ton of posts. I go through Instagram, I scroll through, some people are aspiring cosplayers, but they have like 10 posts. And I don't get it. Like, I think it's good to have big brands, but I think it's good to mix it and have people that are, you know, actively doing it, and they have quality content as well. And
my biggest issue is, and I've had people tell me this, is I'm such a chameleon when I'm in my costumes. No one knows who I am. Like, there'll be like a business card, because I've had people, like, there was a holiday expo that I went to. It is, except when they can't recognize you, because I've had my friend, and everyone knows who she is. She's a very sassy black lady. I love her to death. Everyone knows who she is because her attitude is her brand. And she's very much like that in her costumes, whereas I chameleon myself where you can't recognize me when I'm in a costume. Hell, I was at a Halloween party last night. No one knew who I was because I was dressed up and I had my wig, my makeup on, my costume, and no one recognized me.
Like, is she coming to the party yet? Is she coming tonight?
By one of my friends, and he was like, oh, did you show up? And I was like, yeah, I was there the whole time. And they're just like, I didn't see you. I'm like, yeah, you did.
Damn.
We waved to each other.
That's like a double-edged sword.
Yeah, so I chameleon myself, and then when I get people my business card, or when they finally find me on Instagram, they're like, oh, it's you, like, I totally know who you are, and blah blah blah. And I'm like, yeah, that's great, but I don't get approached at cons because a lot of people don't recognize me.
I mean, I don't know, there's pros and cons for that. One thing that I need to bring up as well, that you brought up, is that toxic culture. I was speaking with someone a few weeks ago, and I was trying to work with another cosplayer, but that person said, I don't want to work with you because you're already working with this person and I don't like her. Like, that's not exactly what she said word for word, but she doesn't like another person that I'm working with. And I'm just like, and I was wondering, I'm like, and I inquired on it a bit more, and I'm like, what do you mean? Like, what's going on? Like, I'd like to know why. And it's just, I don't know, like, they're explaining to me the toxic culture that you're talking about this person does this person does that, the whole area is like a cesspool of hate. And then, like, no one likes each other up here, and I just don't like her. She wasn't bringing up any, like, credible points like that I would be concerned about. It was just like hating, and I'm just like, why do you hate this person? And then I'm doing some research on the side, and it's just like, I don't get it. Like, do you think people are jealous that you may look better than them, or you have a different swagger? Like, what's the reason? What's the reason for the hate? Like, I don't get it.
there's a lot of like I've had one cosplayer go to a convention with me, and it didn't end well. She ended up leaving early, and she blocked me. Had a lot of her followers started just spewing hate my way. Somehow throughout all that, a rumor that I was a cocaine addict got around. So it's like such, and I've had people message me being like, hey, I heard this, and they're like, I just want to know if it's true. I'm like, it's not. I don't do drugs. I'm not going to the bathroom at a convention to do a line. Like, that's not true. She's just trying to ruin my reputation type of thing.
How is that even? What is
Yeah.
this?
One person, one of my friends, started a rumor that she was a sugar baby, and she was using her cosplay to get money from like perverted dudes. And I'm like, and she's like even said, she's like, look, I don't have sugar daddies. Like, I'm buying all my stuff myself type of thing. Like, I make my money through, like, she does video game, like on Twitch, she like makes her own costumes with commissions. Like, that's how she makes her money. But then there's people who they're just jealous, I think. And like I have a lot of people who will come up to me, or I'll get like really judgy looks if I'm wearing the same costume as someone. And they'll compare us. Like, I was sitting beside someone and she was talking about me and she didn't realize that I was sitting beside her. And like I turned around and straight up was just like, can you not badmouth me when I'm not around? Like, it's really toxic, and I think it has a lot to do with a lot of people really immature and don't realize we're in costume, but we can still hear you talk about us type of thing. Or like rumors will trickle down, like we're gonna hear it. Don't be a dick.
And it sucks when you're in like a smaller town, a close-knit town, because like I think the rumors amplify even more because like there's only so many years before it comes back to you, and it's just like, why are you hating? I don't get it. I don't know why people hate in the first place, and I don't know why they like to try to tear other people down. But obviously, keep your head up.
I had an ex-boyfriend ban me from a public Spider-Verse shoot because he didn't want to see me, and I reported it to the convention because I'm like, you can't ban anyone from a public shoot just because you don't like them. I'm like, that's not how this works. And a lot of people are messaging me. They're like, oh, where are you? We want to do a photo shoot with you. I'm like, I didn't know it was happening because I was banned from the event. So it's just like a level of pettiness that I'm trying to get away from.
Get
and
the fuck out of here. Like, you nasty, hateful person. Okay. Well, as long as you already know the reasons why you cosplay. You're not doing it for any hateful. Like, I don't even know how you could cosplay out of hate. So you know why you're doing it. You're doing it out of love, to de-stress and so forth. So like, screw everyone that hates otherwise, and just do you. Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Just do you. Have fun. Once again, thank you so much. I think this was a blast. It was actually really fun getting to know you. We definitely should do this again. And if you have any final words that you'd like to tell everyone, say it now.
All right. Be excellent to each other. Don't be a dick. And throw me a follow. And if you're nice to me, I'll give you a follow back.
All her links are going to be, when this is on YouTube, it's going to be in the link in the description below. If I tweet it out, when I tweet it out and everything like that, I'll make sure to link her stuff. But thank you so much, Kamikazes, for stopping by. I appreciate it. And we should do it again, for sure.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Next time it will be video, and I will be prepared.
Woo! Boop, 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 boop. Thank you so much. Thank you. Peace
You're
out, guys.
welcome.